Hey everybody, Fishman here, welcome to another video. One of the main reasons I first built this filter was to try and alleviate one of the main problems that there is with out filters. And that is somewhere around the 2-year mark, plus or minus, depending upon how many fish are in the tank and a bunch of other variables, you end up with enough mulm built up in the gravel and underneath the plate that it simply doesn't work that well anymore. Now, believe it or not, this filter is not at that point yet. But with the old style under gravel filters, what you would have to do at that point is, strip the entire tank. You have to take everything out, pull all the gravel out, take the plate out from underneath, wash it all down, clean everything out, clean the gravel, and then reassemble the whole aquarium. And this filter, all I have to do is pull it out of the tank, clean it, and put it back in. It doesn't need it at the moment, but I had always intended at the 2-year mark I would take this apart and, do the assessment on it and see where it's at. Unfortunately, as things would have it, you forget when you put things together and you get on to other projects, and it slipped my mind. I got a comment this week on someone asked me if I had a video up for the cleaning of this filter, and I checked the date on this. I had originally posted this in August of 2018. So I am just a little bit over that. It's not really important, but I did want to get to it now before I forgot all about it again. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to clean this filter. And the neat thing about cleaning it from my perspective is I have done so many different things to undergravel filters since I first put this one together that it's kind of neat seeing this, because I don't build them like this anymore. And when I first put this together, there were a couple of characteristics that I really wanted to, so much, not really an homage to old filters, but there was a few things I wanted to make sure I maintained from them. And namely, the most important one was having a corner lift stack, because all the old ones did that. That way, when you put the plate underneath the aquarium, the lift stack would go up in the back corner. And that way, it didn't really get involved as far as, detracting from the view in the aquarium. You can put a plant in front of it or whatever. And that way most of the tank space was open. So that's the reason for that being back there. And the rest of it, is a simple tray, because I didn't really need to do anything else, and actually that part hasn't really changed at all. But I didn't want to get too elaborate into the build itself, because first off, I wasn't entirely sure it was something that I wanted to do ongoing. As you can tell, since then I've really fallen in love with these things, and I've done so many things to them. Actually, if you manage to hang around to the end of the video, I want to show you and go over some of those changes I've done. For those of you who haven't followed along with a lot of the high humidity planter filter builds and all that sort of stuff, just in case that would interest you. I've actually really gotten into the concept of designing filters over the years, partly out of necessity, because from time to time I'll get clients with very specific ideas on what they want their aquarium to look like, and I'll have to squeeze a filter into sometimes the oddest or smallest of places, and of course it still has to work. And I have some very hard ideas about what a filter should do, how often it needs to be cleaned, and all that sort of stuff as to whether or not I think it's doing what it needs to do. And UGG filters are really good for this, because, it's been 2 years, so I haven't had to clean this, and because you can bury these underneath the gravel, it is very unobtrusive. And of course, the single lift stack in most cases is not a problem for most people. So that's a good thing. Now, one of the reasons I am showing you this in real time is I want to show you how easy it is to clean, and of course that's a very big important thing with me. Now, I'm going to a bit more of an extent cleaning this than you need to, but even still, it is about a 7-8 minute process, which is really good. And one of the tricks I've learned over the years, and this doesn't just apply to undergravel filters, it applies to canister filters most of all, because that's actually where I first started using it, and then also to hobs, box filters, sponge filters, all of them for that matter. When you're done cleaning it, like when you've got it all set up and you're ready to put it back in the tank and plug it in, don't plug it into the aquarium itself. And I said that canister filters is where I learned this. Instead of just turning it on and dumping that initial bit of extra mulm that's still going to be in this gravel into the tank, but it did in the first case for canister filters, is I would run that into a bucket until it ran clear, and then I would put it in the tank, and that way you don't dirty up your water. Now you can do the same thing with a hob, but in that case what I do is I take a container and I sink it below the water, but not the entire thing. I leave the lip of it above the water level, put it underneath where the outflow is going to be, plug it in, and then the initial outflow from the hob will go into this container and not into the tank, and it's the same thing. And box filters and sponge filters are just as easy. Usually it's just a bucket in that case, and I just let it run for a few moments in there, and then pull it out and put it in the aquarium. And that way, like I said, you don't end up with a dirty tank. And the reason I obviously started doing that was because, clients don't want to, hey, you clean the tank, it looks worse than when you started. And that sort of thing is kind of annoying that way. Now, for undergrowler filters of this design here, it is a bit more difficult and obviously impossible, really, for the old style ones. But in this case here, these bins are large enough that I can just fill it up with water, and then I just bubble air into it. In my case, for the fish room, I don't really care. It's not a big deal for me. I just let it, I just clean it, put it in the tank, and let it run. And then if I'm concerned about a little bit of cloudy water, which I'm not, by the way, I will just, do a partial water change. And again, it's not a big deal. And there are a great many ways that you can put a small particle filter on the tank if you want, and just clear that up. I mean, you don't have to go to the diatom level, but there are people who like it crystal clear, and that, of course, will get there. In my case, I would probably just put in a box filter with a nice polywool in it, and then that'll take care of it. So there you go. This is all wiped down. Again, way more than I would do normally because, making videos. And then that's it. This is as simple as this is. And we're at the 6-minute mark here, and it's a clean filter. I am going to do an update on this for the tank that it's going to go on. No real reason to, I suppose, because it's going to be perfectly fine. By the way, updates, small updates like this are always going to be on the Sunday vlogs. I've had a number of comments of people asking for updates on particular filters and whatnot. If you go to the Sunday vlogs, that's where they're all at. And I should probably start putting in somewhere in the bar below what updates are going to be, just so if you don't have to watch the whole videos, and it'd be easier for you to find stuff and things like that. So I'll try and get around to doing that. So there you go. Just spread it out. And then I'm going to dump this back in the tank. One of the things I've done differently with this from its original build is you'll see that lift stack is shorter. I had cut it down, and I put that little ring on it just so that I can move it in under the tank, because the bottom row tanks are only about 4.5 inch clearance between the top of the tank and the support for the tanks above. So this slides in nice and flat, and that's the only thing I've done to this thing since I put it together. So there you go, clean. I'll slide it in, put the lift stack in, and then put in the pipe, and then it's done. Now, for those of you who stuck it out this long, I do want to cover some of the differences now in the builds for undergrowler filters that I'm doing. The most important thing is the bottom plate. I don't use egg crate anymore. I've used acrylic, and I also weld the spacers to the bottom of that. And I also have, as you can see, the hole is in the middle. Now, the reason why I'm doing it this way instead of using egg crate is because the original design, that having that small square and then the pipe attached to that, it wasn't really much of an issue, but every now and then I'll be in the tank and I'll be rooting around trying to do something, moving things around, and I would bang into it and I would knock it aside a little bit. And that always bothered me because I'd have to be extra careful. And because this is a friction fit for that 1-inch pipe, I can bang into this as much as I want. It's not going anywhere. And with a central hole like this, I don't think I'm ever going to have to clean this at all. And we'll see in another few years if that turns out to be the case. I am now running quite a few of these, and we will see if, like I said, if there's any kind of difference whatsoever. Those are the main differences, and there are a few others, but I think I've come over most of those quite a few times now. So thank you very much for watching, and as always, if you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. And leave comments, because the comments actually sometimes just remind me of things that I meant to do that I haven't gotten around to yet, and this is one of those things for sure. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.